Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Tesla Life number 129. Here we are, the first of the new year, January 1, first of the new decade, 2020, and we're off on another show. We all took a little bit of a break over the Christmas holidays, had a great time. I hope you out there had a good holiday as well. And we are here with a metric ton of news for today. And as one of our panelists, Casey, has told us, the American ton would work too. So either way that works. Today we have joining us, of course, Mr. Russell Frost, chimes in from San Diego County, California.
Hello from the bottom left corner of America, Tesla fans. I hope you all had a wonderful new year. It is, guess what the temperature is here today?
Oh, man.
72 degrees and sunny.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, 70. It's a little chilly. I wore a coat this morning going down to the bay. My wife and I walked along the Embarcadero for a little while and went and had lunch and came home just to get out and, that's it.
That's rough. That's rough.
Happy New Year to everyone. And for those of you looking forward to playing the drinking game while you're still hungover from last night, you hit the jackpot today, my friends. Gentlemen, start your engines.
Also with us from the other side of the country, mid-country, Mr. Casey Green joins us. How are you today, sir?
Doing pretty well. It is 51 degrees and a little bit chilly. And before any pedants get to us and say, hey, it's not a new decade, blah, 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 the 2020s start today, unless you happen to consider 1990 to be part of the 80s. Also, if you use the HE, the Holocene era, human era calendar, there actually is a year zero, so you could start there.
There you go. Didn't even know that.
Could we just block all the pedants and...
No, they make it interesting. There's a lot of chatter going on when they're around.
I hate some of that stuff.
It does get tedious.
It's like grammar Nazis, blah, 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 blah. Oh, you forgot an apostrophe. Your entire argument is suspect. I'm like,
yes.
You're right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about. I just put the apostrophe in the wrong spot, and also my argument doesn't make any sense.
Right. Oh.
Absolutely. Well, Tesla fans, over the past 2 weeks, there's been a ton of releases and information and news about the company. We've had a colossal release, number 2019.40.50, which has been updated a couple times already. But that came out on Christmas Eve for some of us. Others, Christmas Day, and some of the early release people just a few days before that. So this came out, and Casey was fortunate enough to receive it, as I was as well. And Casey, tell us a little bit about this massive new release with the OTA.
I got it 3 times.
Because once was just not enough.
No. So I got, let me go through my videos here. I got it 2019.40.50.1, the initial Christmas Eve release. Some people actually got it without the .1, like you said, the early releases. Then a few days later, I got 2019.40.50.5. And then I just finished filming a video on 2019.40.50.7. That actually started to download New Year's Eve, and I learned something about the download process. And it finished completing this morning, shortly after the fireworks had completed. What I learned is you do not remove your phone if you've tethered, even if it says 100% for over an hour. Don't reboot the MCU. Don't remove the phone. Just leave the phone in the car, lock it, and go about your day. Use your spouse's
that will become a service call, won't it?
It certainly could. I got lucky. I did call service, and so there we are at like 1:49 in the morning, looking at the car. It was quite fun. So use your spouse or significant other's phone if they have an iPhone or Android. Use your tablet. If you don't have somebody with an app that you can trust, then leave your phone in the car. If you're Model 3, bring your key card. If you're Model S or Model X, bring your fob. Come back and check to see if you see the yellow clock. And if it's still not done, just leave it again until you get the yellow clock. Do not remove the data source.
And this is because you tethered your phone to use it as a Wi-Fi hotspot for the car, right? That's what you were doing.
It's what I was doing, and I was driving, and I guess I hit a bad data patch, or maybe the server spit out a bad chunk or several chunks, And so the car was actually trying to repair the file, and there I was rebooting it and removing the data, and it didn't like that. But it eventually was able to finish. It did it over cellular, but as many times as they keep telling us supply Wi-Fi, I wouldn't rely on it ever picking it up over cellular in the future. And
Wow.
yeah. But it installed once it downloaded and checked some of the file correctly. It everything else was normal. It installed. I hit go from my phone and it came back up today. It was just fine. But the Tesla employee I spoke to said to make sure that you guys know, don't remove the data source.
Well, mine was really uneventful then.
Man.
So what is this? What does this new version give us, Casey? What's all part of this?
So there's like you said, a ton. So the first thing, I've got the full self-driving hardware. So I got new visualizations. The car will show me what it sees as far as like the paint on the ground. It'll show me stop. It'll show me those stop bars. It'll show me railroad track crossings, pedestrian crossings, not crosswalks, but like if it's like a shared use road. So not really pedestrians, but normally you'd see the bicycle, like the Shero.
Bicycle lane.
Well, it's still a regular traffic lane, but it's reminding you that the bicycle's allowed to use the whole lane. They don't have their own separate bike lane.
Oh.
So it'll show you a picture of a bicycle straight on the road. It'll show you traffic lights and all manner of signs and obstacles. It really likes to show you trash cans. So if you saw the cones before, you thought it was a cone detector. Wow, it will detect the heck out of a trash can.
And we know Tesla likes trash cans, like based on the Boring Company drawings. Yes.
So the large bins and the micro bins that a lot of jurisdictions use for recycling, the square ones, they're both shown as a medium-sized bin. And yesterday, somehow, I guess I was on a rural road or something, and somebody had one of the round bins you buy at the hardware store. It showed up as a square bin as well. But it was a trash can. We got a couple new games. We got Backgammon and Stardew Valley.
Oh, Stardew Valley, yes.
Those were fun.
Which is like a farming game, apparently.
Yes.
Collection and farming type thing.
Yes. If you have Hardware 3, you don't actually have to have full self-driving to get the full self-driving visuals. You just have to have the new computer. You'll go into your autopilot settings, and then you'll flip on the FSD preview visuals. What else did we get? We got new voice commands. Sometimes they work. My very first.
Do you have problems with the voice command, like recognizing your voice, or has it always been that way, or do you find a difference with this new package?
It seems to be just as accurate when it's listening. My trouble is to get it to listen. At first, I thought it was maybe it's using my Bluetooth on the phone. Maybe the connection's not good. I think the consensus is that it's Tesla servers and they're just overloaded. But my very first video on it, I spent about 2 hours trying to get enough of the commands to work to make the video. In fact, at the very end of the video, after I've summed it up, there's just another 15 minutes of when it did work and a few where it didn't work, and people got a kick out of that. On the 50.5 update, that got a little better, and then first thing when I got into 50.7 was I tried to turn off the air conditioner so I could record because it's blowing on the microphone. It didn't sound good. I had to try 8 times before it actually turned off the air. And then I did a voice command after I'd wrapped up filming at the Supercharger and first try. So
right.
Yeah. If it hears you, it will show something, and it's actually, I think that quality has gone up for me, unless it's like a marginal word. And so like one of my favorites is if you try to tell it to put the seat heaters on medium. I didn't check that one today on the new update. It'll turn them on high. But if you tell it, give me seat heater on 2 or 1 or 3, you'll get what you asked for. And you can even tell it in bacons because it'll heat strip.
You can say bacons, can you?
Yeah.
I want 2 bacons. Yeah, bacon strip season. Absolutely.
Exactly. We got phone improvements. So now the car will read aloud your text messages, and it doesn't violate your privacy. It says, hey, you've got a message from Jimbo. You've got a message from Bob. A message from Tesla Service. Would you like me to view it? Once you view it, it will read it aloud. So if you've got one of those friends and you've got company in the car, and it might be off color and not fitting with the group, scroll down, hit dismiss, and then look at it later. But once you've had the car read the message to you, you can reply verbally, assuming that your voice command system isn't on the fritz. I've had the most success with the messaging, no matter how bad the car's been behaving. And then also with voice, they finally gave us a voice keyboard, because that keyboard is terrible to type on when you are like on YouTube or comments in the forums or whatever. You can just speak it. It does it with like you could say blah blah blah, open parentheses, blah blah blah, close parentheses, blah blah blah, period. So you can put your punctuation in, and it will transcribe it as such. They added in a new tab on the phone pane of the, I guess, the phone app, where it'll show you the previous text messages from that drive. Then they have the existing tabs with the contacts and the previous calls. They added camp mode. I just took a video of the Easter egg that comes with camp mode. So once the car's been in camp mode for 10 minutes, if you're not in the entertainment apps, it will put up a nice campfire with the holiday lights strung across the campground. Yeah. And unlike the other fire-based...
Unlike the other fireplace, yes.
Yeah, unlike the other fire-based app, there's no crackling of logs, there's no music, which is really good because romance mode in camp mode might not be what you're looking for.
Might not mix, yeah.
But it could be. But in that case, just switch over to romance mode and you're going to have yourself a time. They added save dash cam clips on honk, which I don't know how well that's going to work here on the East Coast. I've already now had 4 inadvertent recordings in since Christmas Eve.
The north and central east is a honking area, isn't it? It's always honking.
Well, I don't honk that much, but I already, like I said, 4 videos that I was not intending to record, and then 1 extra one where I was trying to see how it worked. There were Michael Bodner from Tesla Tunity. He actually timed it out. It's 5 seconds after the honk before it actually saves everything to disk, which is pretty cool. And Dirty Tesla, he actually had several examples, but apparently in the Midwest they're a lot less honk friendly than we are, or honk happy than we are out here on the East. Yes. Stardew Valley. What else is new in here? There was just
there was the TRAX application.
Yes. So
that was something that was different.
Yeah. So you've got a DAW, a digital audio workstation, where you can make loops, make beats, and it's got a keyboard, so you can, if you're good with the piano or the keyboard, you can make music that way. And one of the examples I saw, this guy he shows you how to make the beat, and then he just lays down a nice rap beat. He doesn't look like a rapper. You did not expect it, and he laid out a really nice beat, and I was amused.
So you can create your own beats. You can play the piano over it. You can save whatever you can record whatever you make.
Yes.
And then you can only play it back in the TRAX application. Is that correct?
At the moment, but it looks like they may be considering ways to.
Will they hook this to the horn at some point? Will they?
I wonder if they'll hook it to the noisemaker, because
right. Maybe
that's
make
really
your
loud
own
speaker.
turn signal, like instead of the sleigh bells, it'll be your own beat.
That would be cool, because the sleigh bells get annoying. But if you had a beat, that would be give it like a 15-second. That way, if you're at a long,
that would be fun. That would be fun. They can make it a certain time. They say the turn signal is X amount of seconds, regardless of what you attach to it. But that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, and then just do it like they do now with the sleigh bells. You still have the click in the background, but then your stuff is louder, and if you make a cool one, that would be awesome to share it with the community.
Exactly.
The further back on the voice commands, they have integration into every system of the car. So you can tell it to unlock the doors, lock the doors, open the glove box if you have a Model 3. If you have a legacy car and tell it to open the glove box, it'll say not supported yet. On all the cars, you can tell it to turn on the heated steering wheel, and it will do it. Except if you have a Model 3, it will not work in hardware because it doesn't exist.
So it doesn't give you a message that you do not have that for the heated steering wheel. It just accepts the command like it would work, and
it sends it somewhere, and it just
that gives me hope that the components may partially be there. That if you just add a steering wheel with a coil in it, you've got your heated steering wheel in your Model 3. That would be nice.
According to old Elon tweets, they'll have to find a way to make the vegan steering wheel coating covering work with heat. That's why it took them so long to make the car 100% vegan. Because you've got greasy hands all over it, you've got the sun beating down on it, and then the heating steering wheel component. But then they started with the Model 3 because it already didn't have a heated steering.
Just offer a leather version.
That'll be interesting.
Just offer the leather version for the
over
heat.
it.
You want to heat it? You want to heat a steering wheel? It's got to be leather. That's it.
That would be true. Warning, this has dead animals in it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, very cool with the be able to, send your text, flag that you're calling somebody, pull from your phone's contact list. Of course, the normal multimedia stuff, play, a certain artist or find a certain podcast, and it will use your infotainment system to go grab that and play it. Even adjusting the exterior mirrors is available through this. And of course, the passenger seat, the bacon strips, or I didn't try this yet. I just thought of it now. What about adjustment? Would it move the seat back?
I haven't tried the adjustments, but I did do all seats. And then I did try on Model X. I did try to get it to open and close the front doors, since every door on that vehicle is powered.
Right.
And it gave me the not supported yet. It didn't say the not supported or unavailable or anything. It said not yet, which is awesome because, if you're watching a movie and your spouse walks up and you want to open the door for, right now you got to stop your movie or fiddle with the key. And that's awesome.
Horrible. That's horrible.
It is. It totally is. And well, because closing them is easy. You just hit the top of the key and then it closes back. But
oh my goodness!
It did recognize Russell's show, What Drives Us. It did not recognize this show, so we need to fix that.
Did you call it the full name though? The Tesla Life Show.
I did.
Oh, okay. I haven't tried that, so
I think that's a tweet to Elon.
Yeah,
you get
definitely.
On. Okay.
We could tweet Elon, but I think we can fix it without waiting on him to notice us.
Waiting? What do you mean Elon's waiting to see your tweet, Casey Green?
I think he's
Come on.
me. I've only ever had conversations with his mother and brother.
I mean, okay.
You should have tweeted her yesterday when she was at the Fremont Delivery Center with her son. Say, hey, May, can you ask your son for this?
Well, speaking of Miss May, she has a new book out. It's available as a book and as an audiobook. And this was totally unplanned, so I don't recall the name offhand. I'll look it up and interject it somewhere else in the show.
I'm Elon's mom.
It does not say that. They might have that in the text.
I swear that was the title of it.
Does it really? Let's see. May Musk.
Here we all go.
Look either.
I'm Elon's mom. That's what it says right there.
Feel Fantastic is her first book in June of '96. What's her new book?
A Woman Makes a Plan.
That sounds right. Yes, A Woman Makes a Plan is accurate.
Or I'm Elon's mom.
One or the other. That's in brackets underneath the other title.
And success.
Yeah. Good. Well, that was a massive update. Man, a lot of people were happy to see that. I was happy about the voice commands. I think that's fantastic. Being able to keep your eyes on the road a little bit more is always a good thing. So happy to see that those voice commands are starting to spider out, give us some more options.
Also, I saw a lot of YouTubers out there saying, "Oh, it doesn't do yellow lights." It very definitely does. You do yellow lights. I thought maybe I was losing my mind when I thought I saw them on regular lights, but then I went past a fire station and they had the constant blinking yellow that turns red or turns solid yellow to turn red if there's a fire going on and they're dispatching the truck. And it sat there blinking yellow as if it was in the middle because it didn't have a diagram for yellow, red. And also the security gates at work that are designed to stop trucks from infiltrating. Some of them were 2 lights and some of them were 3 lights. They were all rendered as 3 lights. And some of them showed as a yellow flasher and some of them showed as the green light. There were no threats where the barriers were up, so I didn't see how it rendered their red lights, but on a regular traffic light, the red lights are red. And on the turning lanes where you've got the just arrow, they look a little dimmer on the Model S and Model X, but I imagine on the Model 3 you can zoom in and it will show you the arrow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Well, and to see some of the visualizations, do you need version 3 or will 2.5 always work?
You will need version 3 to see any visualizations as of today. Green the Only said that there's nothing in the software currently stopping it other than where it does the check to see what hardware you have. He says that it should be just fine. In fact, he took a FSD computer and installed it in his MCU1 car, and everything looked the same as my car, except that the renderings were a little bit more laggy and tearing because MCU1 is doing a lot of work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and Elon has said that they are ramping up the upgrade process now that there are more than just cones to separate the two computers. I am curious about the people who fell in, like there's like a 2-week window where you have enhanced autopilot, but it really is full self-driving. But there weren't very many cars delivered during that window, so it'd be best to just update them and just call it a day.
Yeah. We'll have to see. And if you out there happen to be in that boat, we'd love to hear from you.
Yes.
As to what actually happens. Feel free to reach out to us in the comments here on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed already, please press that subscribe button. You can follow us at the Tesla Life on Twitter and the Tesla Life #1 on Facebook. And please send us a note, and we'd be happy to hear about what is actually going on there. And since we're talking about this already, if you haven't already, give us a thumbs up on YouTube, and that will help us get in front of more eyes. That would be really appreciated.
Also, one more thing before we switch topics. People have asked me, how do you know if you have the hardware 2 or 2.5 or 3 computers? If you have a 2.0 FSD computer, it will not record anything to your thumb drive when you make the TeslaCam and stick it in, and everything shows up on the screen. If you have 2.5, you will get the recordings on your TeslaCam and dashcam and Sentry mode. But if you drive past construction or cones, they will not show up. If you have hardware 3, the cones will show up. And then at that point, if you want to see more, you'll have to flip the FSD visualizations on.
Right, and keep in mind, you do have to go in and flip that switch. It's automatically off when you get the car. So you do have to go into the settings and make that change.
Yeah, but the cones are automatic for some reason.
Well, our next story is another present that was given out, but of course this was to only particular people. This was to the Canadians mostly, where we received
everything.
Finally,
they're so nice all the time.
The Trans Canada is now covered and turned on. So the Superchargers have been turned on, and there was some up and downs happening for a couple of the stations for the first few days, but by the period between Christmas and New Year's, it got pretty solid and it locked in. And I have not seen a downage of a particular site on the Trans-Canada since then. So almost all of them were version 3 sites with somewhere between 6 and 8 location or stalls typically. And we were happy to see that it's now done the connection between East and West across the top of Ontario through the prairie provinces and connecting to the existing network in Alberta. So fantastic to see that. And already we have somebody that's attempting to cross Canada on the Superchargers. And that is a Don Goodeve and a Kevin Belanger of Tesla Tours Victoria, BC. They've taken a Model 3 and they departed from Victoria, British Columbia, on the island there, and have started to head across Canada. And currently, as of last night, they were in Sudbury, Ontario. So that's over halfway already. Wow. And they're planning on getting over to Halifax, Nova Scotia, which technically isn't the whole country. If you want to do the whole country, you'd have to take a ferry ride to Newfoundland and travel across that as well. But they're just going to Halifax for the dip the tires in both oceans. So they're going to be in Halifax, they believe, in a couple more days, weather permitting. And they haven't been, this is not a cannonball run for them. They are spending the night somewhere as they move along. But they're putting in 15, 16-hour days driving. So this is no this is no this is no pleasure cruise. They're actually trying to make some time. And of course, they just faced a bit of a snowstorm in northern Ontario just a day ago, just before New Year's. But they're making some good time, and you can follow them if you want on Facebook. They have a page. It's Supercharger Trans-Canada. If you search that phrase, you can see them and their progress as they make videos and take some photos and some posts as they move along. They're actually talking to media too, as they're doing interviews at different radio stations and television stations along the way as well.
It's a good thing they took a Model 3 because you guys have got a healthy installation of Generation 3 Superchargers up there.
Yep, so they can take advantage of that. So that would be that. And they already had, I believe it was White River, Ontario, or maybe Terrence Bay, Ontario. They had to dig their way into a charger.
So Canada.
So they brought the snow shovel with them and had to dig themselves a spot to get up to the Supercharger. So that's a good thing. If you are traveling in Northern Ontario or anywhere in Canada during the winter, probably a good thing to have a collapsible shovel in your trunk, just in case. You'd hate to get to a Supercharger and find out you can't get to it because there's a bit of a snow mound or something blocking your way to get to it. So these guys have thought of that, and good on them.
And definitely the trunk, because the trunk could freeze over depending on your weather conditions and driving style.
Exactly. Our next story, we had it was a store. Oh, there's, here, let me show you this picture here. This is kind of interesting. That we'll share this if we can do it.
Uh-oh.
And here, start sharing this.
Wow.
So that was one of the chargers they ran into. Almost looks like a monster with teeth, doesn't it?
I like that. Come and charge. It's okay. Don't be afraid.
Exactly.
It's a Gen 3 too. You can see the thin cable there.
Thin cable, yeah. So that's some of the stuff that these guys are running into, which is kind of cool to see. And then here was the let's find a way to dig our way in to charge. That looks like a rather small shovel. I think I'd go for a larger shovel if I was on that trip. But that was kind of cool.
What 8-year-old did he beat up to get that shovel? Holy! I mean, dude, really?
Exactly.
Maybe he was looking for a frunkable shovel.
A frunkable shovel, exactly.
You live in Canada. You get a real shovel, okay?
Absolutely.
You live in Indiana. You can get away with a kid's coal shovel. You know. My first coal shovel.
Exactly. Yeah. We talked last week, or the last time we were on air, I guess, which is about 2 weeks ago now. But we talked about it was a fake Cybertruck that was found in front of a Tesla store. Of course, that was made of some cardboard and some duct tape to make the angles look like a Cybertruck. But there was a new filming of it of another fake Cybertruck, and this one was found in, of course, Moscow, which I'm just unable to show the video right now. It's not showing up, but you can go to the Twitter feed and you can see that it was from the feed Wild Moscow. That was the Twitter handle, and they did a video of this Cybertruck that they spotted on the highway. Did some filming of it as they were driving by. So that was kind of cool. But you can check that out on our Twitter feed at the Tesla Life.
I saw another one while I was supercharging a few minutes ago that they took a side-by-side and removed the roll cage and the plastic bits, and they welded it into a Cybertruck, and then they shot it and tried to break the window and car wash it. Let's just say it wasn't bulletproof. The window didn't break. And because it was missing a front window, the person who was car washing it got a little soaked.
Oh, not good. Not good.
Also ran on gas.
Yeah, another thing that we'll share here is some new supercharger news that have come from other countries. Well, not necessarily another country, I guess.
Territory.
San Juan, Puerto Rico has received its first supercharger on the island. And it is one of those portable ones that they put on pallets and ship, so it's all together. Also, Iceland has received their first supercharger in the capital.
Nice.
And another supercharger has appeared in Kazakhstan. Huh. So we talked about this previously, about the first one in Kazakhstan that was put in. Well, a second one has now appeared. So Kazakhstan is quickly moving up the list, doubling its superchargers. These all appear to be those palletized ones where you've got like an urban type supercharger mounted with some sort of a transformer in the middle, and then they're put on a pallet, and then they're quickly, I would imagine they're quickly be able to be hooked up in that type of configuration, which is great.
Yep. So that transformer is actually the supercharger. Inside of that cabinet, you'll find a stack of Model S chargers, and that uses that to convert the AC power coming in from the utility to the DC power that the car requests for its battery.
Very good. Very good. So they're not slowing down. More and more are going in. In fact, even here, another one showing up in Niagara Falls, Ontario. So they're still building away, which is great to see. Because of course, the more cars on the road, the more need there is for that intercity travel, and people with these cars are certainly going to want to do those long distance traveling with the battery sizes they have. So that's fantastic. Next story. Talk a little bit about. Some source code was found by a hacker that was looking through his Tesla code, was able to get into some of it on his own vehicle, which was a Model 3. And this particular person was able to find some references to 100 kilowatt batteries, and also a reference to ludicrous mode. And there is the speculation that this is going to possibly be something for future consideration for a Model 3. That maybe these type of things are thought about in the future. It doesn't mean they're necessarily coming anytime soon or even coming at all. But to be able to find this type of stuff in the source code is kind of interesting. That this stuff does exist. Could be a future thought. Could be something that they're seriously considering. We'll have to see, but it's interesting to see that 100 kilowatt battery in a Model 3, that would give you some serious range. If we've got about a 75 or 76 kilowatt battery currently, bumping that by another 25, that would be. You'd be pushing over 400 easy in a rear-wheel drive car. Like you'd probably be pushing 420, 425 miles, which would be shockingly good. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see if that kind of stuff continues or not.
And this is the same Green the Only that put the FSD computer in his AP 2.5 with MCU1 that we just spoke about.
I wonder what Tesla thinks of that when they're, when they see that this guy is continually being able to jump into the code, pull things from it, report upon it. I wonder if it, it makes them try to hide things more, or if they have the ability to hide it.
I think both. Because Elon congratulated the first person to find 100 kilowatt pack, period, and then they started hiding stuff. and then now we've got 100 kilowatt pack in a Model 3, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So obviously they have to do this for internal reasons. Otherwise, why would you leave the breadcrumbs around? And it must be a requirement in order for them to do testing or things of that nature. But interesting that we've got all these people that are looking for these little tidbits all through the code. And,
allegedly. I think it's plausible deniability. They could say, you've got a 74 kilowatt hour battery now. Somebody talks about 100. Tesla hasn't said it, so the sales don't drop.
Yeah.
And then it shows up. It's like, whoa.
Exactly. Oh, another interesting story that came up in the past couple of weeks was California itself has decided to ban timed EV charging. So if you've got a card for like EVGO or ChargePoint or others, typically they are all charged by the minute and billed to your account. Well, apparently California is now going to eliminate that, and they'll have to charge by the kilowatt hour, and they'll be taking that information from the car as to what it's actually receiving, not how long it took it to receive it. The other thing that comes into play here is something that may affect Tesla, is that they're saying that the readout of the energy that was put into the car needs to be displayed on the unit that's providing the energy. So that would be a supercharger stall, would be required to have some sort of a digital readout to show the person on the exterior of that unit how much energy was put into the car, or the price, or a combination of both. They even specifically indicate that it's not good enough just to have that amount appear inside the vehicle on some sort of screen. They want it to have some sort of a meter on the actual stall itself. So this is something that would, change every single stall in California to start with. But it's something that would be interesting to see if that is going to move forward in the same language it's written.
Yeah, they did give them one concession. The screen needs to be directly attached to the unit, but it doesn't need to be integrated to the unit. So they could have like a little sidecar that comes up on top of the Tesla logo that says, the price is this today, and here's how much you've used. But
so like they wouldn't have to incorporate it into the unit itself. They could put like an external display.
Yeah.
That would be screwed onto the side of the current supercharger type thing.
Exactly. And I always thought just to stick it to them, they could put an old calculator display that has kilowatts and put like kilowatt in text next to it. Another one that says the price, and put the price next to it, and then put the little solar powered calculator display panels. It would meet the letter.
Russell, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No. That's
okay.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this mainly impacts superchargers, which have no external display. Most other chargers do. Mm-hmm. In those cases, most of those can be reprogrammed if they don't already display the required information. And yeah, I mean, it would be hilarious to make people, to just ignore this law and put a calculator thing on there. That'd be awesome.
Well, I mean,
it's drink.
They'd be fitting the letter of the law. Is what I'm saying. Because if it's like the gas pump today, just a smaller display, because it says gallons, it says dollars, and it says the price, and they're the crappiest little displays you've ever seen, unless it's one of the ones that blares the TV ads at you.
There you go. I love
it. Yeah.
Well, we'll have to see if it stays to that, if there's going to be any type of a pushback from Tesla to maybe challenge this. Or if it's going to stay as it sits. I did not see the actual implementation date.
So with that, they have, I think, 4 years to get it implemented. And at that point, the existing networks must then comply by either doing the sidecar or replacing stuff. And then the programming. I'm curious how many non-compliant existing systems they have that have a full-color screen that are not compliant, because the way that they were harping on that didn't seem like it was actually directed at Tesla. And everyone I've been to, it doesn't necessarily tell you the price before you get started, but it does say, here's what you're spending. So it's not a mystery. There must be a bad actor somewhere.
As you're pumping those electrons, the price keeps going up. So you can, I don't think I've seen one that doesn't tell you what the price is as it's actually in operation.
I'm wondering if they're, like I said, there is a bad actor, or if they envision there could be, or there's got to be a reason that they wrote that down. I mean, when they're making laws, it's usually for a reason, even if it's not 100% thought out.
Sometimes laws aren't quite there on the first one. A revision is sometimes required.
Yeah,
that's for sure. Russell's got a story for us about a spotting of a a highly sought after vehicle that's going to be released in 2020.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Stephen M. Conroy, that's Stephen with a V, M. Conroy, on YouTube posted a video of a Model Y he spotted, a white Model Y. And let me, since we're not really allowed to share the video, there will be, if you follow us on Twitter, you would have gotten a link to this video and you would have seen it. So, at the Tesla Life. Anyway, it's a white dual motor. It has a performance badge, black window trim, black door handles, and Power Sports aero wheels. And it looks kind of like a tubby Model 3.
Actually, it was surprising how large it looks.
Yeah.
Again, not seeing too many photographs of a 3 and a Y right beside each other because of course, the lack of Ys on the road. But I've seen a few pictures now, and man, it just keeps looking better and better. The Y does. It's very much a 3 look, but it's got that extra room, little height on it, and I think it looks quite good.
I think somebody said it was 68 inches tall.
Is it that tall? What's your X in height, Casey?
That's a good question.
Is it like 70 something? 70?
Oh yeah, it's taller than me.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the standard height and low height. It's still taller than me. I had to lower it to the very low to scrub the roof.
But yeah, the Y is now starting to be seen. There's a black one roaming around. There's a white one. There's a red one. Yeah, we're anticipating. Again, we've been told that the Y is going to release a little bit earlier than what was expected. The original date, of course, was the end of 2020 to start. And now some analysts are pushing that up to halfway through the year, if not end of Q1 into Q2 area. So that's the earliest prediction I've seen. A lot of people are laying around the middle of the year, and others into the third quarter. But that would be nice, coming out a little bit ahead of what they had anticipated and published. It's always nice to under promise and over deliver. That would be a good way to do it. So that would be interesting to see if Tesla is able to follow that type of model going forward. Another speaking of charging that we were earlier, EVGO, which of course is a charging network across the country. I believe they have about 750 high-powered chargers, level 3 chargers, DC fast, have announced and have actually performed a few of their chargers in the San Francisco Bay Area. They've added a Tesla adapter. So you can go to an EVGO station. You do not require the CHAdeMO adapter. They now have a third adapter that's built into the cabinet. So they have a CCS, they have a CHAdeMO, and now they have a Tesla cord that you can just plug in directly to your car. And this was kind of sprung on us surprise. There was no announcement from Tesla initially. It came from EVGO talking about the first unit they put in place at a Whole Foods in San Francisco. And they had indicated that they were going to move forward and put this adapter on several cabinets around the San Francisco area, and are thinking of pushing it out nationwide. Tesla was asked for a comment immediately, and they did come back with, yes, we've entered into an agreement where EVGO can use our proprietary adapter in their cabinets, and they will be starting to roll them out. So, hey, more charging options, always a good thing. Whether or not you use the superchargers, or if it's convenient to use an EVGO, then fabulous. That avoids some people having to spend the $500 on a CHAdeMO adapter, and allows them more charging options. So fantastic.
And this does follow where a couple years ago, where ChargePoint actually did the same thing. They were buying CHAdeMO adapters, ripping them to shreds, and installing them in their cabinets, at least at headquarters, if not a couple other places. And Tesla told them, "Stop that! Stop it!" And it looks like they've gotten over that, at least with EVGO.
Well, with some sort of an agreement. So
Yeah.
we don't know what the actual agreement is. Did money change hands? Is there some sort of mutual benefit for both sides? We don't know about that.
They probably didn't destroy any CHAdeMO adapters.
Well, probably that's one thing. Yeah, probably. But it was interesting to see that this just happened recently, and we'll have to see if it does spread to multiple units around the San Francisco area, and if it does go outside of that area as well.
So there were on another YouTuber's area, there were a lot of complaints from other EV owners about, oh, those darn Tesla people taking our connections. And my response was that more charging is good for the entire community. And Tesla didn't foist this on them. That was a private business that went to Tesla, got the connectors, got approval, and put them in there for their customers. So you are all their customers. Just get along, guys.
What were these people complaining about?
So it's like Nissan Leafs and Chevy Bolts saying, "Oh my goodness, the Teslas are using our spots."
Right. I'm sorry, but they're complaining because there's adapters there now, so the Tesla people can charge.
Yeah, because
they're feeling that Tesla had their own chargers. Why are they infringing on the only couple that we have?
Right. That sounds like bullshit.
I thought so.
I just don't get that. Like, oh no, whatever. I don't
know
know
what? You know what? That kind of stuff happened even within the community of the other cars. So if you had a Chevy Volt plugged into something, people were screaming bloody murder that you were collecting a charge, and they were in Nissan Leaf and said, "Hey, I don't have a backup generator. You do. You shouldn't need to charge." Come on, man! It's whoever gets there first, and it's first come, first serve.
If you're not strong enough to charge, you die in the side of the road.
2 enter, 1 leaves. Yes, indeed. Yes. And yes, well, let's hope it doesn't get to that point. But here's the vehicle that Russell was talking about. We had a picture of it on the Twitter feed, not a video. So again, looks very nice. The look is growing on me every day. I look at a new one.
Somebody had commented that, it looks like the same one as before because look at the plate number. And then I pointed out, Tesla only has one plate number. There were 3 cars in a row at my local service center.
I didn't know that, Casey. So the manufacturer plate is the same number for multiple plates.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. If it has manufacturer plates.
Yeah, they were manufacturer plates, and they were loaner cars, and there were 3 of them, and they all had the same number. And then every demo we've ever seen before this has always had that number, 632727, whatever. But yeah. Now, dealer plates do have different numbers per car.
Right. Correct.
Very good. What was our next story?
What else? It looks like something about a factory in China.
Yeah,
China made some cars.
There's a factory that's
this
wild rumor about a dirt pile that was turned into a factory in under a year and is now actually producing vehicles out of that said factory.
1,000 a week.
So there was it was the story about this particular factory, the Shanghai factory, Gigafactory 3, and what we've got is now cars that are being produced at a rate of somewhere between 1,000 and 1,500 a week already. They had a ceremony on December 30th where they were they were presenting 15 cars of the first builds to employees of Tesla in China that were accepting these cars at the Gigafactory 3 in a ceremony that was held. And of course, the fanfare, they had the confetti cannons going off and cars driving up on stage and the ceremonial plaques handed over to the owners, who were then put in the back seat of the car and driven away by chauffeur in their own car off stage. So that was kind of weird that the guy that bought the car, the woman that bought the car, they weren't allowed to drive it. They had to get in the back seat, and then were chauffeured off of stage. So that was kind of interesting to see. But fantastic. The plant is in operation. They do have the capability now of selling the cars in China, and that these cars are now starting to be shipped in car carriers off of the plant site and being distributed across China. So the actual, I guess, the real sales of cars, which will be in the hundreds and tens of hundreds, will start in earnest in the first quarter. So we're expecting some sort of fanfare again as the different showroom locations start to receive these cars and hand them out to owners as that happens. But what a story! Like, so many of us, when they came up with the adage that this plant would be built in a year, man, there was a lot of doubters out there. And I can't say that I was completely, with Elon time and such, I was completely understood that timeline would be kept to, if not beat a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's now a reality. And these cars are now rolling off the lines, and they're filling up parking lots on site and being shipped off in car carriers. So congratulations, Tesla China, for completing this. And it's going to be a huge boon to the company as they start to move these cars into Chinese owners' hands.
Yeah, and on the same subject, I saw photos. I didn't see the video. Apparently, there was a wedding proposal at the ceremony and a trunk full of flowers, and she said yes. It was very
Man,
touching.
that would be embarrassing if she said no.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that would have backfired.
That would have been really troublesome. Exactly. So yeah, congratulations to Tesla for achieving that goal and now starting to push them out. That's great to see. Well, that brings us to the end of our holiday edition. And we would, again, thanks for watching. We appreciate you joining us. If you haven't by this point already, please press that subscribe button. Doesn't cost you anything. It's free. It helps us out. Give us a thumbs up. That also will get us in the eyes of new audience members and get us recommended by YouTube. That would be really appreciated. If you haven't already, also subscribe to our Facebook, The Tesla Life #1, and our Twitter @The Tesla Life. And follow the news throughout the week as we add and send new news your way every day of the week.
I've got one more thing.
Absolutely, Casey.
So we've got an icing. And normally the solution that people give when somebody's icing the spot is they say, call the cops.
So you get an icing by someone that should know the difference. Well, it's a Homeland Security car, though, isn't it?
So you can still call the cops, but it says police on the side of the car. So it's like, yeah. Hopefully they can talk to you about appropriateness.
Is this in the Washington area?
I'm not sure. I found it on Reddit. Let's
okay. All right.
Go close.
Didn't mean to call you out on that. I thought you might have spotted it on your travels.
No, it's on our Tesla Lounge, and the title is I haven't seen this one yet. I haven't seen this one, and it's by I can't pronounce that. Ensign Garcia. I am Adrian Garcia. There we go.
And Casey, tell us a little bit about maybe some videos that you're putting out and how we could see those.
Certainly. So we've got several videos I put out over the last 2 weeks about the new software updates. Somebody had asked me what happens if your Falcon Wing doors are open and you're driving, because we watched a video and a lady had let her kids out of the car and then proceeded to ram her door into the edge of the garage door. And I had expressed incredulity. I was incredulous. I was like, how do you do that? The car screams bloody murder. There's red lights. There's sounds. And somebody asked, what does it look like? What does it sound like? So I made a video on that. And of course, all the updates. And on Friday. Well, tomorrow is the 1-year anniversary of my channel being active. It's been up for 10 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's been up for 10 years, but I've actually been curating it for a year. And so if you join us on Friday night, did we pick 7 or 9 Eastern, Russell?
We didn't pick yet.
Okay, we didn't pick yet, but we will be doing a live stream at Casey Green, so youtube.com/KACEYGREEN. And we want to take input from you guys and see, answer your questions, concerns, comments, maybe even feature some of you on air if we can, and just to celebrate this year and kind of shape where we'll be going into the next year. Right now we're sitting at 390 subscribers. Our stretch goal was to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so it's not yet impossible. Seeing as
Well,
at the end of the
2020
year,
has just started, so you get a long time.
the end of our first year of operation. So we've got a night left, but we knew that was a tall order when we said after it. So my wife Luna, she has chosen not to be there for the live stream. She may change her mind. Yeah. She's gotten camera shy lately, but she loves to operate the mics, the cameras, and make sure the ideas aren't terrible. And
well, you make sure to pick that time so we can get that out on Twitter and let people know about the live stream as to when it's happening.
Thank you.
Very good, very good. And Russell, any parting words this evening?
Bye-bye. No, watch, let's see, in an hour, although you won't see it in an hour, but in an hour we will record the next episode, the first episode of 2020 of What Drives Us. Please watch that. Please be sure to subscribe. And again, the key is the Twitter thing. Follow the Tesla Life on Twitter, and of course subscribe on YouTube so that you get notified when new stuff comes up. Watch Casey's show. I'll be there, and if you want to play the drinking game, I promise there will be drinking opportunities. I make that commitment to you, the viewer, because I love each and every one of you.
Very good, very good. All right, so thank you everyone for joining us this evening. We'll see you next week, and you will find out. Oh, one more thing.
One more thing. I want to thank Lee Moon for our theme music.
Of course.
He composed it and lets us play it for free, so we're going to thank him because you're going to hear that music in just a second. Mark.
Here we go. You will find out what's happening next week in the Tesla Life.
That's Lee Moon.
That is Lee Moon.
Have a great week, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Happy New Year.